Hi guys, and welcome back to Stellar HFY. First of all, thank you. Seriously, the incredible support you've been showing for these strategic deception stories has been absolutely mind-blowing. Today, we're diving into something that starts with alien scouts celebrating their discovery of what looks like humanity's pathetic little mining operation, completely unaware they're staring at the most elaborate military trap in galactic history. To know what these aliens unleashed when they decided to poke the sleeping giant, stay with us till the end. Contact bearing 27 Mark IV, distance closing fast. 3 vessels, definitely Krillian configuration. The words crackled through the communication array at Deep Space Monitoring Station Echo 7, cutting through the artificial hum of life support systems like a blade through silk. Commander Thane Vosek set down his coffee, the ceramic cup making a sharp click against the metal desk that seemed to echo in the sudden silence of the control room. Acknowledged, Sensor Station 3. Keep passive scans only. Do not give them any reason to think we're more than traffic control for a bunch of rock miners. Vosek's voice carried the practiced calm of someone who had spent years perfecting the art of appearing unremarkable. He switched to the encrypted channel that connected him directly to Admiral Marcus Hawthorne, buried 300 kilometers deeper in the Kepler sector's primary asteroid base. Admiral, we have visitors. 3 scouts, running full-spectrum analysis on our installations. The response came immediately, Hawthorne's gravelly tone betraying nothing of the massive coordination effort now beginning across 17 human sectors. Understood, Commander. Operation Mundane is now active. Make sure they see exactly what they expect to see. Nothing more, nothing less. Light years away, War Commander Zeth Carr of the Krillian Reconnaissance Division reviewed the tactical displays aboard his flagship with the satisfaction of a predator studying wounded prey. The holographic projections showed the human installations in clinical detail. Asteroid mining platforms connected by transport tubes. Orbital refineries processing raw materials with the steady, unimaginative efficiency typical of human industry. His intelligence officers had spent months infiltrating human communication networks, analyzing shipping manifests, and cross-referencing industrial output reports. Every data point confirmed what the Krillian Empire had long suspected. Humanity remained a species of modest capabilities, content to scratch at rocks in the void, while greater civilizations prepared to reshape the galaxy. Scan resolution at maximum efficiency, War Commander, reported his sensor operator, a lean Krillian whose scales bore the deep blue coloration of technical specialization. The humans appear to be conducting standard resource extraction operations. Energy signatures are consistent with civilian-grade fusion reactors. No military emissions detected. Zeth Carr's mandibles clicked together in what passed for satisfaction among his species. Excellent. Continue passive observation for another 6 standard rotations. I want detailed architectural analyses of every structure. When Battle Group Theta arrives, we will demonstrate Krillian supremacy by dismantling their pathetic mining operation piece by piece. The War Commander's confidence was not misplaced according to conventional analysis. The Kepler sector appeared exactly as described in their intelligence reports, a collection of industrial installations processing asteroid material with the kind of methodical efficiency that characterized human civilization. Mining platforms extended mechanical arms to extract ore from captured asteroids, while orbital refineries glowed with the steady heat signatures of metal processing operations. Transport vessels moved between installations on predictable schedules, carrying cargo containers that registered as standard industrial equipment on Krillian sensors. What the aliens could not detect, however, was the conversation taking place in a shielded chamber deep within the largest asteroid base. Admiral Hawthorne studied multiple displays showing Krillian scout positions across 37 different human sectors, each one under simultaneous surveillance by alien reconnaissance teams. The coordination was unmistakable. This was not random exploration, but the preliminary phase of a systematic invasion assessment. They're taking detailed architectural scans, Vosek reported through the encrypted link. Their sensors are mapping internal structures, power distribution networks, even traffic patterns between installations. This isn't casual observation, Admiral. They're building targeting packages. Hawthorne's fingers traced patterns across the tactical display, highlighting the positions of assets the Krillians could not see. Let them look, Commander. Every minute they spend studying our mining equipment is another minute our people spend getting into position. How long until their reinforcements arrive? Based on their communication patterns, I estimate 4 days before they call in heavier ships. They're being methodical, probably want to present their superiors with a complete intelligence package before requesting permission to engage. Vosik paused, watching the alien ships maintain their observation patterns with mechanical precision. Admiral, they genuinely believe we're defenseless. Their tactical formations are optimized for intimidation rather than combat effectiveness. Shamo. The irony was not lost on either human officer. For 2 years, carefully placed operatives within Krillian intelligence networks had fed a steady stream of falsified data about human capabilities, painting humanity as a species of limited industrial capacity and negligible military strength. The aliens had built their entire invasion strategy around information that portrayed human space as a collection of isolated mining colonies and trade outposts, defended by obsolete patrol ships and civilian security forces. Meanwhile, the Distributed Defense Initiative had been quietly converting civilian infrastructure across hundreds of sectors into camouflaged military assets. The asteroid mining platforms that Krillian sensors identified as simple extraction equipment were actually modular battleship components designed to separate along hidden seams and link together using magnetic docking systems. The orbital refineries contained weapons batteries and shield generators that had been constructed inside civilian-rated cargo containers, invisible to external scans but capable of full deployment within minutes. Initiate graduated exposure protocol, Hawthorne ordered, his voice carrying the weight of decisions that would reshape galactic politics. Make our installations appear more active, but keep it within civilian parameters. If they're going to study us, let's give them something interesting to look at. Across the Kepler sector, mining platforms began extending additional equipment arms, creating the appearance of increased extraction activity. Refineries elevated their processing temperatures, generating energy signatures that suggested human civilians might be accelerating production schedules in response to alien observation. Transport traffic increased between installations, with cargo containers moving in patterns that appeared to indicate preparation for potential evacuation. The Krillian scouts interpreted these changes exactly as intended. Their reports to War Commander Zethkar described human panic responses, civilian populations attempting to extract maximum resources before abandoning their installations to superior alien forces. The aliens extended their surveillance period, calling for additional reconnaissance ships to monitor what they believed was a minor human crisis response. Zethkar reviewed the updated intelligence with growing satisfaction. Not only were the humans demonstrating their primitive capabilities, but their obvious fear confirmed Krillian's psychological superiority. His request for Battle Group Theta emphasized the propaganda value of the coming engagement. 57 Krillian warships would destroy human mining installations while the galaxy watched, establishing the template for rapid conquest of human space. The War Commander had no way of knowing that similar scenes were playing out across 36 other human sectors, each one under observation by Krillian scouts who saw identical patterns of apparent weakness and civilian panic. The coordination was perfect, the deception complete, and the trap ready to close on an enemy who had spent months studying their prey without realizing they had been walking into the most elaborate military ambush in galactic history. Battle Group Theta translation complete. 57 vessels now in formation, War Commander. The sensor operator's announcement carried across the bridge of Zethkar's flagship with the crisp efficiency of military routine. Through the transparent aluminum viewports, the Krillian battle formation spread across space like a predatory constellation, each ship's hull gleaming with the polished threat of overwhelming technological superiority. Zethkar studied the tactical display with the methodical attention of a commander who had never known defeat. The human installations continued their pathetic mining operations, apparently oblivious to the massive military force now poised to demonstrate Krillian dominance. Intelligence reports from the other 36 sectors showed identical patterns: human civilians scrambling to extract final resources before inevitable destruction, their primitive industrial equipment working at maximum capacity in futile preparation for evacuation. "Maintain formation and prepare for engagement demonstration," the war commander ordered, his scaled hands manipulating the command interface with practiced precision. "We will begin with the largest installation, dismantling their infrastructure piece by piece. Ensure all engagement data is transmitted to High Command for distribution across the Empire." 300 kilometers inside the primary asteroid base, Admiral Hawthorne watched the alien battle group settle into attack formation through sensor feeds that painted the enemy ships in false-color displays. The Krillian vessels moved with the confident precision of predators circling wounded prey, their weapon systems charged but not yet targeted, their commanders apparently savoring the psychological impact of overwhelming force deployed against defenseless mining installations. "All sectors report ready for simultaneous activation," reported the communications officer, his voice tight with controlled excitement. 36 additional battle groups are in position at other human installations. The aliens have committed their forces exactly as projected. Hawthorne's fingers hovered over the activation controls for the Distributed Defense Initiative, 2 years of planning and preparation reduced to a single command sequence. Across human space, identical scenes were playing out as fleet commanders prepared to reveal humanity's true military capabilities to alien forces that had spent months studying what they believed to be defenseless civilian installations. "Commander Vosik, confirm status of Sleeper Agent Network," Hawthorne ordered through the encrypted channel that connected him to the traffic control station. Vosik's response carried the satisfaction of an intelligence operation reaching its culmination. "All operatives report ready for activation, Admiral. Navigation systems, communication networks, and sensor arrays across the Krillian fleet are compromised and awaiting our signal. They won't be able to retreat or call for reinforcements once we begin." The sleeper agents represented the most sophisticated intelligence penetration in human history. Operatives who had spent years embedded within alien communication networks, diplomatic missions, and even military command structures. Their patient work had not only provided the false intelligence that brought the Krillian fleets to this moment of vulnerability, but also positioned them to cripple alien coordination at the critical instant when human forces revealed themselves. "Initiate distributed defense activation across all monitored sectors," Hawthorne commanded, his voice carrying the weight of decisions that would echo across the galaxy. "Show them what they've really been watching." The transformation began simultaneously across 17 different star systems, each one monitored by alien reconnaissance forces that had spent months cataloging what they believed to be primitive human industrial capabilities. In the Kepler sector, the asteroid mining platforms that Krillian sensors had identified as simple extraction equipment began separating along hidden seams, revealing the modular battleship components concealed within civilian-rated structures. War Commander Zethkar watched his tactical displays with growing incomprehension as the human installations underwent changes that violated every principle of known engineering. Mining platforms that should have been solid structures split apart like mechanical flowers, exposing weapon systems and shield generators that had been invisible to even the most sophisticated Krillian sensors. Orbital refineries unfolded along hidden joints, their civilian cargo containers falling away to reveal batteries of kinetic accelerators and defensive arrays. "Sensor error detected," reported his technical officer, scales shifting to the pale yellow of confusion. The human installations are exhibiting structural modifications that were not present in previous scans, requesting clarification on equipment failure protocols. "There is no equipment failure," Zethkar replied, his voice carrying the cold realization of a tactical situation spiraling beyond all projections. "The humans have been concealing military assets within civilian infrastructure. All ships implement defensive formations and prepare for immediate withdrawal." but the withdrawal order came too late. Across the Krillian battle group, navigation systems began displaying error messages as corrupted coordinates replaced legitimate jump calculations. Communication arrays found themselves unable to establish long-range connections as embedded human operatives activated viruses that had been dormant within alien networks for over 2 years. Ships that had entered the system expecting to demonstrate overwhelming superiority against defenseless mining installations now found themselves trapped and surrounded by 17 human capital ships that had assembled from infrastructure the aliens had been observing without comprehension. Commander Vosek coordinated the tactical communications network from his position at Echo 7, watching displays that showed similar scenes unfolding across 36 other human sectors. The psychological impact on alien command structures was immediate and devastating, as reconnaissance forces that had been conducting methodical intelligence gathering suddenly found themselves facing military capabilities that exceeded their most pessimistic projections. "All sleeper agents confirm activation successful," Vosek reported to Admiral Hawthorne. "Krillian fleets across 17 sectors are experiencing simultaneous navigation and communication failures. Their tactical coordination is completely disrupted, and they're unable to retreat or call for reinforcements." The human ships that had materialized from disguised civilian infrastructure were not the crude mining vessels that Krillian intelligence had projected. These were capital-class warships equipped with electromagnetic pulse systems designed to disable rather than destroy, their crews trained in boarding operations that utilized combat protocols adapted from asteroid mining techniques. The apparent civilian operations that aliens had observed for months had actually been military training exercises, with human personnel practicing the precise coordination required to convert industrial infrastructure into battle-ready formations. Admiral Hawthorne watched the tactical displays showing alien fleets trapped across multiple sectors, their confidence replaced by the growing realization that they had been systematically deceived by an intelligence operation that spanned years of careful preparation. The Krillian Empire's invasion strategy, built on falsified data about human capabilities, was collapsing in real time as scout forces discovered that their months of surveillance had been observing the most elaborate military deception in galactic history. "Signal from Battle Group Theta," the communications officer announced. "War Commander Zethkar is requesting negotiation protocols." Hawthorne's smile carried no warmth as he contemplated the larger strategic implications of this moment. The aliens had finally realized they weren't facing defenseless mining colonies, but a civilization that had spent years preparing for exactly this confrontation. The true scope of and capabilities was only beginning to dawn on enemy forces that had walked willingly into a trap of their own making. "All ships, engage for data collection. We die here, but the Empire learns." War Commander Zethkar's voice cut through the bridge communications with the sharp finality of a blade severing rope. His tactical displays painted a picture of impossible odds. 17 human capital ships had materialized from what his sensors had identified as mining equipment, their weapon systems charging with the distinctive energy signatures of military-grade hardware that intelligence reports had insisted humans did not possess. The first human electromagnetic pulse struck Zethkar's flagship like a hammer blow delivered by an invisible giant. The bridge lighting flickered as secondary systems automatically compensated for the disrupted power grid, and the war commander felt the deck plates vibrate under his feet as the ship's superstructure absorbed energy designed to cripple rather than kill. Through the viewport, he watched similar pulses lance out from human ships toward his battle group, each burst of electromagnetic energy precisely calibrated to disable Krillian systems without causing the catastrophic hull breaches that would destroy valuable intelligence assets. "Hull integrity maintained, but navigation and weapons control are offline," reported his technical officer, scales now showing the deep purple of combat stress. "The humans are using non-lethal engagement protocols. They want us alive." Commander Vosek sealed his combat suit with practiced efficiency, the familiar weight of mining equipment adapted for military boarding operations settling across his shoulders like an old friend. The cutting tools and hull penetrators that had been designed for asteroid resource extraction now served as breaching gear capable of opening Krillian hull configurates, ions that human engineers had studied from wreckage of previous encounters with alien technology. "Boarding Team Alpha, prepare for breach and entry on the command vessel," Vosek transmitted through his suit's communication array. "Remember, we need their navigation computers and command protocols intact. Disable the crew, extract the intelligence, and watch for reactor overload attempts." The human assault shuttle attached itself to the Krillian flagship's hull with magnetic clamps that had been modified from cargo handling equipment, their industrial-grade adhesion systems easily overcoming the alien ship's attempts at evasive maneuvering. Vosek activated the cutting torch, watching sparks cascade in the zero-gravity environment as the diamond-edged plasma beams sliced through Krillian armor plating with the same methodical precision used for extracting valuable minerals from asteroid cores. The breach opened with a sound like tearing fabric amplified through his suit's audio sensors, followed by the sharp hiss of atmosphere equalizing between human and alien environments. Vosek dropped through the opening into the Krillian ship's interior, his boots making contact with deck plates that felt subtly wrong under his feet, the alien alloy construction creating vibrations that his human nervous system interpreted as vaguely threatening. The Krillian crew members he encountered moved with the desperate efficiency of soldiers who understood their tactical situation had become hopeless. Their energy weapons discharged with sharp, crackling sounds that echoed through the ship's corridors, but human combat suits absorbed the impacts with energy dispersal systems adapted from the radiation shielding used in asteroid mining operations. Vosek returned fire with kinetic projectiles that punched through alien armor with the brutal effectiveness of tools designed to break apart solid rock. "Bridge secured," he reported, stepping over the unconscious forms of Krillian officers whose bodies had been overwhelmed by the neural disruptor charges his team carried. "Beginning data extraction from navigation and command systems." The intelligence download proceeded with mechanical efficiency as human technicians connected their equipment to alien computer networks, extracting terabytes of strategic data that painted a comprehensive picture of Krillian military capabilities and invasion planning. The information revealed not just the scope of the current operation, but the systematic coordination between multiple alien civilizations that had been preparing for a coordinated assault on human space. Admiral Hawthorne monitored the boarding operations from his command center, watching tactical displays that showed 17 separate engagements proceeding according to predetermined protocols. The human fleet's electromagnetic pulse weapons had disabled Krillian vessels across the battle group, allowing boarding teams to extract intelligence while minimizing casualties on both sides. The strategic value of captured alien personnel and technology far exceeded the satisfaction of simply destroying enemy ships. "Admiral, we're detecting reactor instability on 3 Krillian vessels," reported the fleet technical officer. "Energy signatures suggest they're attempting deliberate overload to prevent capture of classified systems." "Deploy containment protocols immediately," Hawthorne ordered, his voice carrying the calm authority of someone who had anticipated exactly this desperate tactic. "All engineering teams implement reactor stabilization procedures." The human response to attempted alien suicide reflected years of preparation for precisely this scenario. Engineering teams that had spent their careers managing the violent nuclear reactions used in asteroid processing operations now applied those same skills to preventing Krillian reactors from achieving critical cascade failure. Magnetic containment fields designed for handling stellar temperature plasma surrounded the alien power cores, while emergency cooling systems drew away the excess thermal energy that would otherwise trigger catastrophic explosion. War Commander Zethkar watched his final desperate gambit fail as human engineering teams stabilized his ship's reactor with techniques that demonstrated technological capabilities far beyond anything Krillian intelligence had projected. The aliens had walked into battle expecting to face primitive humans equipped with obsolete mining gear, only to discover an adversary whose industrial expertise translated directly into military superiority. "Sir, the humans are requesting surrender," his communications officer reported, voice heavy with the defeat that now seemed inevitable. "They're offering medical treatment for wounded personnel and prisoner of war status according to what they call Galactic Convention protocols." The systematic processing of captured Krillian personnel revealed the true scope of the intelligence failure that had brought the alien fleet to this moment of destruction. Under human interrogation techniques that were firm but not brutal, alien officers described an invasion strategy built entirely on falsified data provided by sources they had believed to be reliable human defectors and intelligence assets. Commander Vosik oversaw the interrogation of a Krillian intelligence specialist whose scales had faded to the gray of complete emotional exhaustion. The alien's testimony painted a picture of deception that spanned years of careful manipulation, with human operatives embedded so deeply within Krillian command structures that they had effectively been writing enemy strategic assessments. "Your agents convinced our leadership that humans possessed only civilian-grade industrial capacity," the alien officer explained through the translation interface. "Every report, every analysis, every tactical projection was based on information that portrayed your species as technologically inferior and militarily insignificant." The revelation carried implications that extended far beyond the current tactical situation. If human intelligence operations had successfully penetrated Krillian command structures to this extent, what other alien civilizations had been similarly compromised? The scope of humanity's deception suggested a strategic patience and operational sophistication that challenged every assumption about human capabilities in galactic affairs. Hawthorne reviewed the extracted intelligence data with growing satisfaction as the true picture emerged. The Krillian invasion force represented only a small fraction of the coordinated assault that multiple alien civilizations had been planning against human space. Intelligence networks spanning dozens of species had been systematically compromised by human operatives who had spent years building false narratives about humanity's defensive capabilities. The tactical victory in the Kepler sector was merely the opening movement of a strategic symphony that would reshape the balance of power across the galaxy. As human forces completed the processing of captured alien personnel and technology, communication arrays across 17 sectors began transmitting the carefully crafted messages that would trigger the next phase of humanity's grand deception. Execute Phase 2 across all monitored sectors. Show them the galaxy they thought they knew. Admiral Hawthorne's words echoed through the secure communication network that connected human command centers across 17 star systems, each one poised to deliver a coordinated psychological blow that would shatter alien confidence in their strategic assessments forever. The simultaneous activation began at precisely 0347 Galactic Standard Time, a moment that would later be marked in diplomatic archives as the instant when humanity announced its true position in galactic affairs. Across 36 additional sectors, Krillian scout forces that had been conducting methodical surveillance of defenseless human mining colonies watched in growing horror as civilian installations underwent the same impossible transformations they had witnessed in the Kepler sector. War Commander Drex High of Reconnaissance Group Sigma transmitted his first panicked report from the Vega Industrial Zone, his voice cracking through subspace communications with the distinctive distortion of someone whose worldview was collapsing in real time. "High Command, the humans have military capabilities that exceed all intelligence projections. Request immediate strategic reassessment of invasion timeline." Similar transmissions flooded Krillian command networks from reconnaissance teams across human space, each one reporting identical discoveries of hidden military assets concealed within what their intelligence services had classified as primitive industrial operations. The psychological impact was precisely calculated. Rather than facing scattered defensive responses from individual human colonies, Krillian forces found themselves confronting evidence of coordinated deception that spanned thousands of light years. Commander Vosik coordinated the information warfare campaign from his expanded position, At Fleet Intelligence Division, monitoring communication intercepts that revealed the cascading panic spreading through alien command structures as they realized the scope of their intelligence failure. The false confidence that had driven invasion planning for months was dissolving into desperate attempts to understand how their most sophisticated reconnaissance operations had failed so catastrophically. Intercept from Krillian High Command confirms suspension of all invasion preparations, Vosik reported to Admiral Hawthorne, his voice carrying the satisfaction of watching years of careful planning reach fruition. They're calling for comprehensive intelligence review and requesting diplomatic contact with human leadership to establish territorial boundaries. But the Krillians were not the only alien civilization discovering that their strategic assessments had been systematically falsified. Intelligence networks spanning multiple species began reporting similar revelations as human operatives embedded within 43 different alien command structures activated protocols designed to demonstrate the extent of humanity's intelligence penetration. The Vraxan Hegemony's Strategic Planning Council received reports that the human colonies they had been preparing to raid were actually camouflaged military installations equipped with defensive capabilities that exceeded Vraxan fleet projections by orders of magnitude. The Thektar Confederacy's intelligence services discovered that their most reliable sources of information about human weaknesses were actually human operatives who had been feeding falsified data for over 3 years. Admiral Hawthorne studied the galactic tactical display that showed the ripple effects of humanity's revelation campaign spreading across known space like expanding shockwaves. Each alien civilization that had been sharing intelligence about supposed human vulnerabilities now faced the realization that their cooperative intelligence gathering had been orchestrated by the very species they had planned to conquer. The beauty of our success lies in the interconnected nature of alien intelligence cooperation, Hawthorne explained to his expanded command staff, his finger tracing connection lines between different species' territories on the display. By convincing multiple civilizations to share false intelligence about our capabilities, we created a self-reinforcing system of deception that made our lies appear more credible through repetition. The Zephyrian Alliance's military leadership received simultaneous reports from their embedded agents within Krillian and Vraxan command structures, each one confirming that human defensive capabilities had been systematically underestimated. The convergent intelligence from multiple independent sources convinced Zephyrian strategists that they faced an adversary whose true military strength remained unknown but clearly exceeded all previous projections. Communication intercepts revealed the growing paranoia within alien command structures as military leaders began questioning the reliability of their intelligence networks. The discovery that human operatives had achieved deep penetration of their most secure communication systems triggered comprehensive security reviews that would paralyze strategic planning for months while alien leadership attempted to identify the extent of the compromises. Vosik oversaw the careful release of selected intelligence that revealed just enough about humanity's capabilities to demonstrate strategic superiority without exposing the full scope of human advantages. The information was crafted to suggest that the revealed military assets represented only a fraction of humanity's true defensive network, creating the impression of vast hidden reserves that would make any invasion attempt suicidal. The psychological warfare campaign targeted specific alien military hierarchies with precisely tailored messages, designed to exploit their particular cultural vulnerabilities. Krillian pride was challenged by evidence that their technological superiority had been an illusion. Vraxan territorial ambitions were countered by demonstrations of human defensive depth that made expansion impossible. Thektar unity was undermined by suggestions that their intelligence cooperation with other species had been systematically compromised. Reports from all sectors confirm successful implementation of revelation protocols, the intelligence coordinator announced, his voice tight with the excitement of watching a complex operation reach its culmination. Alien leadership across 17 different civilizations is requesting immediate diplomatic contact to establish territorial boundaries and defensive agreements. The establishment of communication channels with panicked alien leadership represented the final phase of humanity's strategic triumph. Rather than responding to invasion attempts with military force, human diplomats began negotiations from a position of overwhelming psychological advantage, dictating terms to species that had expected to be writing surrender documents for human colonies. Admiral Hawthorne reviewed the strategic assessment that confirmed the permanent shift in galactic power dynamics. The coordinated invasion that multiple alien civilizations had been planning was not merely postponed, but abandoned entirely, as enemy leadership realized they faced an adversary whose intelligence capabilities made successful military operations impossible. The cascading effects of humanity's revelation campaign continued expanding across galactic political structures as species that had not been directly involved in invasion planning began reassessing their own strategic positions. The demonstration of human intelligence penetration capabilities convinced neutral civilizations to seek diplomatic accommodation rather than risk becoming targets of similar deception operations. Phase 2 implementation complete across all target networks, Vosek reported, his tone carrying the finality of a strategic victory that had redefined humanity's position in galactic affairs. Enemy leadership is requesting comprehensive territorial negotiations and seeking assurance that human defensive networks will not target their core systems. The irony was not lost on human command leadership that their greatest military victory had been achieved without firing a shot in anger. The patient application of strategic deception had convinced potential enemies that military confrontation with humanity would be futile, transforming planned invasion forces into diplomatic missions, seeking accommodation with a species they finally recognized as strategically superior. As communication networks across the galaxy carried reports of humanity's revealed capabilities, the fundamental assumptions that had governed interstellar relations for centuries collapsed under the weight of demonstrated human intelligence superiority. The species that alien civilizations had dismissed as primitive industrial colonists had proven themselves masters of a form of warfare that made traditional military confrontation obsolete. Admiral, we have incoming priority transmission from Krillian High Command. They're requesting immediate diplomatic contact and they're asking us to define our territorial boundaries. The communications officer's voice carried a tremor of barely suppressed excitement as he delivered the message that would confirm humanity's strategic triumph. Admiral Hawthorne set down the damage reports from the 17 captured Krillian vessels, his weathered hands steady despite the magnitude of what those words represented. "Patch it through to the main display," Hawthorne ordered, rising from his command chair with the deliberate movements of someone who understood that history was pivoting around this moment. "And make sure every word is recorded for strategic analysis. We're about to witness the collapse of an empire's confidence." The holographic projection materialized above the command center's central table, revealing the elongated form of Krillian Supreme Commander Vorthok, his scales displaying the deep crimson patterns that indicated extreme diplomatic urgency among his species. The alien's mandibles clicked rapidly as he spoke, the universal translator rendering his words with mechanical precision that somehow amplified their desperate undertones. Human leadership, the Krillian Empire formally requests clarification regarding territorial claims and defensive agreements within what we now understand to be your sphere of influence. We have suffered catastrophic intelligence failures and seek immediate negotiation to prevent further misunderstandings. Hawthorne allowed himself a thin smile as he contemplated the careful phrasing of the alien's request. The Krillians were not admitting defeat. Their pride would never allow such direct acknowledgement, but they were effectively surrendering the initiative in galactic affairs to a species they had dismissed as primitively insignificant less than a week earlier. Commander Vosek entered the command center carrying a data tablet that contained the final analysis of intelligence extracted from captured Krillian systems. His face showed the controlled satisfaction of someone whose meticulous work had just validated years of patient preparation, but his eyes held something deeper, a recognition that the galaxy had fundamentally changed in ways that would echo for generations. "The intelligence hall is beyond our most optimistic projections," Vosik reported, his voice tight with the implications of what human operatives had accomplished. "We now have confirmation that our agent has penetrated command structures within 43 different alien civilizations. The scope of our intelligence network spans half the known galaxy. The revelation carried weight that pressed down on everyone in the command center like the gravity of a collapsing star. For years, human operatives had been embedded within alien diplomatic corps, military command structures, and intelligence agencies, feeding carefully crafted disinformation about humanity's capabilities while gathering comprehensive data about alien strategic planning. The coordinated invasion that had brought Krillian fleets to human space represented only a fraction of the threats that had been neutralized through systematic deception. Hawthorne activated the display showing intelligence networks across 17 different star systems, each one representing a separate alien civilization whose strategic assessments had been compromised by human operatives. The web of deception stretched across thousands of light years, connecting species that had never directly communicated but had all received similar false intelligence about human weaknesses and defensive capabilities. Analysis confirms that the Vraxan hegemony, the Thektar Confederacy, and the Zephyrian Alliance were all planning coordinated strikes against human colonies, Vosik continued, his finger tracing connection lines between different alien territories on the galactic map. Each group believed they were acting on independent intelligence assessments, unaware that their strategic planning was being guided by our operatives. The systematic nature of the deception operation revealed a level of strategic sophistication that challenged every assumption about humanity's position in galactic affairs. While alien civilizations had been dismissing humans as a minor species confined to primitive industrial colonies, human intelligence services had been orchestrating a complex manipulation campaign that positioned potential enemies for maximum vulnerability. Implement Phase 3 across all compromised networks, Hawthorne ordered, his voice carrying the authority of decisions that would reshape interstellar politics. Every alien civilization that participated in intelligence sharing about our supposed weaknesses needs to understand that their strategic assessments have been systematically falsified. The order triggered simultaneous revelation campaigns across multiple star systems as human operatives activated prepared protocols designed to demonstrate the extent of intelligence penetration within alien command structures. The psychological impact was carefully calculated. Rather than simply revealing human military capabilities, these operations would convince enemy leadership that their most secure communication networks and strategic planning sessions had been compromised for years. Vosik received his reassignment orders with the stoic acceptance of someone whose expertise had become critically important to galactic security. His new position within Fleet Intelligence Division would involve expanding the Distributed Defense Initiative across 300 additional sectors, implementing deception protocols that would maintain humanity's strategic advantages while projecting strength through controlled revelation of capabilities. "The beauty of our success lies in its sustainability," Hawthorne explained as he reviewed long-term strategic projections with his newly promoted intelligence coordinator. "We don't need to maintain overwhelming military superiority across the galaxy. We simply need to ensure that potential enemies never obtain accurate assessments of our actual capabilities." The false territorial claims that human operatives began broadcasting served multiple strategic purposes simultaneously. By establishing fictitious boundaries around sectors that contained no human presence, they created the impression of vast territorial holdings while directing alien attention away from actual human colonies and military installations. The deception also provided diplomatic leverage, allowing humanity to negotiate territorial concessions that cost nothing while gaining significant strategic advantages. Communication intercepts from across the galaxy confirmed the cascading psychological effects of humanity's revelation campaign. The Vraxan hegemony had suspended all military operations pending comprehensive intelligence review. The Thektar Confederacy was conducting internal security investigations to identify suspected human operatives within their command structure. The Zephyrian Alliance had withdrawn their fleets to defensive positions around their core worlds, abandoning expansion plans that had been based on falsified assessments of human weakness. 6 months after the engagement in the Kepler sector, Admiral Hawthorne stood in his expanded command center reviewing strategic projections that painted humanity as the dominant intelligence power in known galactic space. The victory had been complete not because human forces had destroyed enemy fleets, but because they had fundamentally altered the strategic calculations that governed interstellar relations. The final intelligence report lay open on his desk, its conclusions definitive and absolute. 43 alien civilizations had formally established diplomatic protocols with humanity, each one requesting clarification of territorial boundaries and defensive agreements. The balance of galactic power had shifted permanently in humanity's favor, achieved not through military conquest, but through the patient application of strategic deception that had convinced potential enemies they faced an adversary whose capabilities exceeded their ability to comprehend. Commander Vosik entered the command center one final time in his old capacity, carrying the implementation orders for the next phase of humanity's grand strategy. The smile he exchanged with Admiral Hawthorne carried the satisfaction of architects whose blueprint had reshaped the galaxy according to their design. The war that might have consumed human civilization had ended before it began, terminated by the revelation that humanity had been playing a different game entirely. The galaxy would never again make the mistake of underestimating the species that had learned to hide dreadnoughts inside mining equipment and embed operatives so deeply within enemy intelligence networks that alien civilizations had been unknowingly writing their own strategic defeats. Humanity had revealed itself not as the primitive industrial species that alien intelligence services had projected, but as a civilization whose patience, deception, and strategic sophistication had redefined the very nature of interstellar conflict.